Jon Jones sent out a very interesting tweet. I mean, I got to tell you, it was an interesting tweet. All he said is, I'm going to be champion in 2023, right? Made a New Year's resolution, and he told it to the world. Why would that be interesting? Like, how could that strike me as interesting? Well, I think that shows a hunger. I think that shows a courage. I think that you're telegraphing, I'm coming back. Whether I can get it done on my first time up, or I've got a regular schedule of 3 guys, somewhere in 2023, me and whatever champion and whoever champion you got are going to clash, and I'm going to beat him. I mean, I think that that's interesting, right? I get that it's all summed up, but one of the reasons that I find that interesting, he was the champion. Did he forget that? He had the belt. He gave it back. I mean, that's really a fascinating piece of psychology. Which, before you think I'm going to be my usual jerk of a self and tease Jon, I'm not. I'm genuinely interested in that. Because the psychology of the greats, and Jon goes into that category, it's not something that we all just get to relate to, is it? We want to. We pretend that we do. But privately, we know there's something that makes him different. So what just happened here, guys? I mean, it's almost poetry. Did you guys ever take that? Did you ever take that in English class? If you took English in college, you most certainly did, but I wouldn't condescend to somebody that stopped at high school. But you got to read poems, and you got to explain, you got to break down what they mean. Now, the teacher is going to judge you on that, on how you did, how much sense that you made, which is absolutely infuriating, because the only person that would know is the author himself, who never actually gets asked. So you have to take these words and you have to attempt to break down what he meant. Which generally, if you ever can get to the author, he was stoned out of his mind, and we shouldn't care and be doing it in higher learning anyway, but this is the way the game is played. Jon Jones said, I'm going to be champion in 2023. I have to interpret that, right? If I said it, basic rule in life, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. If I said that, and I said it for you guys to say, I'm locking myself into something. I have some things in my life that I would like to change, but I've never told you guys. How come? It's not because I'm embarrassed that I wouldn't want you to know. It's because once I say it out loud to you, there's no more thinking about it. Done. Has to be done. I must do it. It's a real powerful thing when you're goal setting to write something down. And when you're teaching somebody to goal set, you encourage them to write it down. As a matter of fact, the step beyond writing it down is you have them post it right on their mirror in the morning, the mirror that they comb their hair in and they brush their teeth, as a way that you know that they will see it every single day. They're now accountable to it. You won't get somebody to that step, and you yourself have been taught about goals, and none of you have written it down, and none of you scotch taped it to the mirror that you see every morning. I don't fault you for that. I'm sharing with you the reason for it is accountability is a very big deal. And the reason you didn't write it down and the reason you didn't put it on the mirror, you don't want to be accountable to it. I understand that. But Jon Jones just did write it down, and he just did put it out. Now, somebody that was that hungry, that had that kind of courage, do you know what kind of courage it takes? The kind of courage it takes to say, I'm going to be a champion in unarmed combat in the heavyweight class. What you're going to have to do before they ever shut that door, and what you're going to have had done to protect yourself once it is shut. I mean, in all fairness, right? This is a really big deal. This is a really big statement. But if I'm just sit there and I'm to analyze this like a poem, and I have to attempt to decide what the author is saying, I do have to question, is that author aware that this very thing that he has stepped forward courageously and publicly and proclaimed he's going to do, is he aware that he already achieved that and that he gave it back? Does the author, if he were here, dispute what I just said? Does he say, no, Chael, I did not win this and I did not give this back? You, Chael, are a simpleton looking at it as a world championship. I am a literalist looking at it as the heavyweight world championship, which I've yet to win. That would be interesting to me. I haven't seen athletes do that. I know guys that were NCAA champions and they had eligibility left, but they did not think that they needed to change weight classes to find motivation for the next year. I know guys that have won world championships, and to return to the world championships the following year, they did not believe that they needed to change weight classes. They stay right there, run their whole career right there. I have no judgment. It's a very common way to do things. So does Jon, who is for sure, right? Fine line in genius and insanity. He for sure is a genius at his craft. Does he look at it differently than I would understand it? Does he look at it and say, no, I never gave this back. I've never had it. This is about a world championship that I've already had. There's a brand new one in a brand new division I'm set in history. Maybe he looks at it that way. I don't think that we would agree with him. I don't think that when this is done, if he thinks he's going to get a bigger pat on the back, we're all going to look at it. What's the difference? 3 years and you've returned to the same spot that you were in 3 years ago, which is the top of the division, right? I mean, it's one of those things. He didn't have to agree with us. And we don't have to be able to understand it from his perspective. There's something that makes him different. There's something that has made him special. Perhaps this is one of those things. But Jon Jones, who was the champion in, I think it was 2020, is proclaiming that he will be the champion within 2023. Now, there's a lot of things that have to happen. You have to get the fight. You have to get the promoter. You have to get the opponent. You have to get in shape. You have to gain the favor of the judges or knock out or submit the guy to become champion. Or in Jon's case, you have to get in a time machine back up and just not have given the championship back in the first place.